Take a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down. Yeah. So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
How you doing? Happy birthday, nephew.
A quick Google search for you says that your net worth is $20 million.
I know I got more money than that. I might go 70 days without looking at my exact total amount of my money because it gives me anxiety, keep looking at numbers all day. It's like when you put money in stocks, the stock trader told me, say, put a lot of money in stock, don't keep looking at that. Drive you crazy.
Welcome back. Lil Meech just flipped the whole hip-hop world upside down. He's calling out Rick Ross, accusing him of straight up scamming Big Meech out of a jaw-dropping $120 million, and the internet is losing it. What started as quiet whispers online has now turned into a full-blown street war. BMF versus Rick Ross. And trust, neither side is backing down. Social media is on fire, comment sections are in chaos, and fans are taking sides like it's a heavyweight fight. The biggest question on everyone's lips? Did Rick Ross really finesse one of the most respected names in street history? All for fame and fortune?
Would lead to February 13th, the Big Meech home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. This gonna be special. Epic. Get your tickets right now. I'm back.
At first, it all looked like a fairy tale comeback. Big Meech had just stepped out of prison last October, and the whole culture was ready to celebrate his return. People were expecting him to rebuild his empire the right way, through films, business, and legit generational power moves. It felt like the streets were about to witness history again. Then out of nowhere, Rick Ross slid into the picture with big talk and bigger promises.
Now, my shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still count paper. This ain't a pump and dump, baby.
Think about it. It was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent, he owning the rights to
He started bragging about a $120 million film deal that would turn Meech's legacy into a Hollywood blockbuster. We're talking movie contracts, fashion collabs, luxury brand tie-ins, the whole 9 yards. It sounded like a dream until it started falling apart. Because according to people close to the situation, that deal was nothing but smoke and mirrors. No movie, no paperwork, no money, just hype and empty talk. Insiders say Ross played it slick. Smooth words, fake connections, and shiny promises that had Big Meech believing he was about to level up.
So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
But behind the scenes, it looked like pure manipulation. Ross walked away with more fame and more cash in his pocket, while the BMF name got dragged into confusion and controversy. One insider even spilled, people felt bad for Lil Meech, but blamed the old heads. They should have known better. This wasn't friendship, this was business. And in business, loyalty don't protect you from getting finessed. And right when things couldn't get any messier, 50 Cent entered the chat. The same man who built the real BMF legacy on TV wasn't about to stay quiet. From the start, 50 put his own money behind the hit show, paid for Lil Meech's acting lessons, and gave him the stage to shine as a legit actor. He treated Meech's story with respect, turning it into a cultural phenomenon. But then Meech shocked everyone by switching sides and linking up with Ross instead of staying loyal to 50. That move lit the fuse for a silent beef that eventually exploded into the open. 50 did what he does best, trolled with precision. He started clowning Ross online, cracking jokes about him sending Wingstop wings to Big Meech's prison cell. But behind the humor was a sharp warning. Ross wasn't building the legacy, he was feeding off it. Then 50 went for the jugular. He started leaking behind-the-scenes dirt fans never knew, saying Lil Meech showed up to set wasted, threw up during training, and even joked about finding whippets in his truck. 50 laughed, saying he had to Google what they were. The drama's wild, the betrayals are real, and the streets can't stop talking. I'm just talking, that's how 50 Cent brushed it off, but his message couldn't have been clearer. He wanted everyone to see that he was the only one acting like a grown man, while the rest were out here playing games with the BMF name. Meanwhile, Lil Meech was still out there smiling for cameras, club hopping with Rick Ross, posing like everything was sweet. But the streets, they weren't buying that act anymore. People started calling their whole partnership fake, built on ego, money, and smoke. It didn't take long for fans to switch up either. Even Tony Yayo jumped in, reminding everyone how 50 had been there for Lil Meech from day one. No gimmicks, no fake loyalty, just real support and guidance. But once Lil Meech picked his side, things started to crumble fast. Money slowed down, fame faded, and frustration crept in. And that's when Michael Rainey Jr., best known as Tariq from Power, decided to jump into the conversation with a comment that broke the internet. He said, "I don't feel bad for Lil Meech or Big Meech. Grown men should have seen this coming." That line went viral instantly. Timelines flooded, clips reposted everywhere, and the conversation exploded. Ross, being Ross, tried to keep the spotlight on himself, shouting out tour dates like it was business as usual. February 13th, Miami, Detroit, ATL, get your tickets. He was out here acting unbothered while the whole situation was burning down around him. But once 50 caught wind of that, he snapped again. He doubled down on Michael Rainey Jr.'s statement, saying it was proof of weak loyalty and bad judgment. 50's point was crystal clear. Lil Meech had chosen clout over loyalty, and Ross was once again feeding off another man's name like a parasite. And this ain't even Ross's first rodeo with that kind of drama. People close to him claim he's got a long track record of leaving his own people hanging. There's even talk that Ross once let his own crew get jumped in Canada just to test their loyalty. Cold move. Calculated. Classic Ross. Then, like clockwork, Ross tried flipping the story again. Out of nowhere, he announced some big-budget BMF movie, claiming it would outshine 50's TV version. He started name-dropping directors like F. Gary Gray and even Tarantino, trying to make it sound official. But come on, that screamed pure cap. And while rumors were flying about BMF concerts being canceled left and right, not a single person was blaming Ross for the mess. He was just doing what he always does: talk loud, stay viral, and keep the attention on himself. That's when the narrative started to shift. Fans and insiders alike began seeing through the game, and when Whack 100 entered the chat, he didn't hold back at all. He called Rick Ross the real villain in this story. No sugarcoating, no PR spin, just straight talk. The industry was finally waking up. Whack 100 didn't bite his tongue. He straight up said Rick Ross was never loyal to Big Meech. According to him, Ross was just a master manipulator, using the BMF name like a pawn in his feud with 50 Cent. Whack made it crystal clear, if Ross truly respected Meech, he would have handled business quietly without all the flexing, cameras, and fake smiles. But instead, Ross turned it into a full-blown circus. Everything became the Rick Ross show, a one-man performance built on fake loyalty and louder-than-life clout. Every move he made, every post, every interview, it all circled back to him. The spotlight wasn't on BMF anymore. It was on Ross's ego. He paraded Big Meech's name like a shiny trophy, using that connection to boost his own brand and street credibility. And honestly, that said everything, because when you really think about it, Ross wasn't doing this for the culture. He wasn't doing it for legacy. He was doing it for attention. From day one, he played both sides, talking slick about million-dollar projects and empire deals, while the only empire that was truly growing was his own. Behind closed doors, he was busy driving a wedge between Big Meech and 50 Cent, the same man who built the BMF TV empire and gave the name New Life. The moment the hype settled, all that remained were empty promises and flashy headlines that didn't mean a thing. Then Ross decided to go even lower. He jumped online bragging about buying people's masters, throwing direct shots at 50 Cent, claiming he could buy his whole catalog whenever he wanted. It was all about humiliation, but in reality, it exposed how desperate he was to stay relevant. He even threw shade at Lil Meech, saying 50 had to take him out of Detroit just to teach him how to act. It was meant as a jab, but it really showed Ross's obsession with being the loudest voice in the room, because once that attention started to fade, Ross vanished. He completely ghosted Lil Meech when things got tough. That's when the rumors exploded. Insiders started whispering that Ross was the real reason Lil Meech's Welcome Home benefit concert got canceled. At first, fans blamed 50, thinking maybe he pulled strings out of revenge. But sources close to the situation painted a different picture. They said it was Ross all along. Apparently, he didn't want Lil Meech to regain momentum or step back into the spotlight. He wanted him sidelined, kept quiet, so that Ross could keep running around online, pretending he was the one carrying the BMF legacy. The manipulation was deep, the betrayal was public, and now the streets are finally calling it for what it is. Rick Ross wasn't protecting the empire, he was profiting off it. To the streets, this was straight up betrayal. Using another man's pain and struggle as marketing material? That hit different. Ross didn't just hustle. He exploited Big Meech's name for clout, traded his legacy for views, and the moment it stopped serving him, he cut ties without looking back. Lil Meech tried clapping back online, calling 50 Cent an internet gangster, claiming he was hiding behind social media for attention. But come on, nobody bought that act. Fans saw right through it. They said he was just trying to clean up the mess Ross left behind. The damage was done and the internet was having a field day. Memes flooded every timeline, turning what should have been a redemption story into pure comedy. People were calling Lil Meech the dude who got finessed in his own movie. Painful? Absolutely. But it was also a wake-up call for everyone watching. When loyalty meets money, the industry doesn't forgive or forget. And Ross's track record, it made the whole picture crystal clear. Every time he links up with someone respected, chaos follows soon after. Bad deals, broken promises, and folks left behind. Just look at Maybach Music Group. At one point, Meek Mill, Whale, and Gunplay were proudly waving the MMG flag. They looked unstoppable, a label of bosses. But behind that shine, there were missing checks, shady paperwork, and quiet frustration. Insiders say Ross always played the same game, acting supportive in public while pulling all the strings in private. Ego over teamwork, control over collaboration. It's been the same pattern for years, and by now, the game plan's impossible to ignore. Ross knew exactly how to move the chessboard, boosting himself while everyone else stayed stuck in the same spot. If he truly cared about the BMF legacy, he would have built with Big Meech privately, honored that name quietly with real respect, but instead he went loud on purpose because he knew 50 Cent would react. And that's the thing, this wasn't about business anymore. It was about pride and power. 50 wasn't fighting for attention, he was defending something real, a story he built from the ground up with his own money, his own effort, and his own loyalty. Meanwhile, Ross was poking the bear, hoping the drama would keep him trending. Even Meek Mill, once Ross's right-hand man, eventually distanced himself. After years of loyalty, he realized that MMG wasn't built for everyone to win, just one man to shine. The spotlight was only big enough for Rick Ross. And now, it's the same playbook all over again, just a different set of names. Big Meech and Lil Meech got wrapped up in that same cycle, sold on a dream of a $120 million empire that was supposed to change their lives forever. But in the end, it was nothing more than a ghost deal. No contracts, no film, no future, just broken promises and fake headlines. Ross got the clout, the clicks, and the cameras, while the real legends were left cleaning up the wreckage. Meanwhile, Rick Ross walked away from the chaos with another wave of free publicity. More interviews, more followers, more headlines. People started connecting the dots fast. Every single time Ross's fame starts to fade, he finds someone real, someone respected, and latches on like clockwork. He did it with Drake back in the MMG days, then Meek Mill, then Larry Hoover's Name, and now he's doing the same thing with Big Meech. But while Ross keeps chasing clout, 50 Cent flipped the whole game. 50 didn't need to fake legacies, he built them. He turned real-life stories into billion-dollar productions. Power, Raising Canaan, BMF. He took pain and turned it into profit, legacy into storytelling, and business into empire building. That's the real difference. One man creates, the other imitates, and the streets see it now, loud and clear. Fans started saying it straight. Ross is playing checkers while 50's playing chess. One moves for the moment, the other moves for the future. While 50's out here creating generational power, Ross is out here chasing viral headlines and temporary fame. Behind all the noise, one thing's clear. Every time Ross steps into somebody else's world, he leaves it wrecked, divided, and forgotten. Yet somehow, he's always the one walking away grinning for the cameras. At this point, the game couldn't be more transparent. Rick Ross's playbook never changes. He builds his success off the backs of others, flipping their struggles into his own shine. The question now is, how many more people are gonna fall for it before they realize the pattern? Every person who stands next to Ross eventually learns the hard way. Loyalty fades, but clout lasts forever. The cycle's undeniable, and when you really study his career, it's like Ross has been running the same hustle from day one. Think about it. This whole borrowed identity thing didn't start with Big Meech. It goes way back to the real Rick Ross, the actual drug kingpin whose name the rapper stole while the man was still locked up. The real Rick Ross even took him to court trying to reclaim his own name. But did rapper Ross care? Not at all. He doubled down, built his image off that myth, and turned another man's reality into a multi-million-dollar rap persona. He literally took someone else's story, their legacy, and turned it into his own brand. And guess what? He's been running that same move ever since. He did it again with Larry Hoover's Name, dropping references in songs, videos, and interviews like it was some kind of aesthetic, treating real-life struggle and history like a fashion trend. Ross knows controversy keeps him relevant, and using real names, real pain, and real legends keeps his brand alive. But the mask is slipping now, and people are starting to ask the real question. How long can a man keep eating off someone else's story before karma comes collecting? Rick Ross built his fame off the power of other men. Men who earned their stripes in the streets, who turned pain into purpose. But Ross? He used their names like trophies, like accessories to boost his own image. And now it's happening all over again with Big Meech. Another legacy borrowed, twisted, and remixed into his brand for clicks and headlines. The only difference this time is, the streets are wide awake. They see exactly how Ross turned real pain into content, real loyalty into promo, and real legacies into marketing campaigns. And while Ross keeps winning the attention game, the people he touches always seem to lose something: respect, reputation, or peace of mind. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's name keeps getting stronger. While Ross chases noise, 50 plays the long game, stacking projects, flipping true stories, and building real value. He's not chasing validation, he's building empires. Years ago, 50 warned everyone about Ross, called him a fraud, and now every single thing he said is playing out in real time. Fans have receipts, screenshots, interviews, all showing Ross moves for attention, not authenticity. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. Rick Ross is a fraud, period. He messed up a whole legacy chasing clout. That line hit hard because it's exactly what's unfolding. When you trace the pattern, it's clear as day. Ross always builds his shine off people who already have real credibility. He steps in, makes big promises, stirs hype, and when it all falls apart, he vanishes. From MMG to his street connections. It's always the same ending. He walks away spotless while everyone else is left cleaning up the wreckage. Even that so-called $120 million BMF movie deal? Smoke and mirrors. He dropped huge Hollywood names like Tarantino and Antoine Fuqua, made it sound like a blockbuster in the making. But there's no movie, no script, no contracts. Just more viral talk to keep him trending while the people who trusted him get left in chaos. Now that Lil Meech is catching backlash, the real question is, did he trust the wrong person, or was he just caught in a bigger hustle he never saw coming? Either way, it's a brutal lesson. In this industry, image is everything, and Ross has mastered that game like a magician. When the noise fades, he just finds a new name to attach to, a new spark to keep himself relevant. But every time he repeats that cycle, chaos follows, relationships break, trust dies, and when the dust settles, the only winner is Rick Ross. Even people who once stood close to him have quietly backed away. Former associates talk about being left behind, artists mention shady contracts, and business partners describe him as all talk, no delivery. To them, Ross's empire isn't built on loyalty, and it's built on illusion. Every move he makes is crafted for exposure, not partnership. Every headline is designed to look powerful, even if it's standing on someone else's foundation. So now the streets are asking the question out loud, was Ross ever loyal to Big Meech, or was he just trying to become Big Meech in the eyes of the culture? Because when you really break it down, it starts to make perfect sense. The BMF track that first made Ross famous wasn't about honoring a friend. It was about embodying the image, taking on the identity, and soaking up the respect that came with it. That's been his blueprint from day one, building his brand off other people's legacies, other people's stories, and other people's pain. And the saddest part, Big Meech's name deserved better. His legacy was supposed to symbolize redemption, rebirth, and second chances, not clout chasing and confusion. But once Ross stepped in, the whole message got twisted. What was meant to be about rebuilding a legacy turned into another social media circus, another viral moment for Ross's benefit. And now that everything's falling apart, even the fans are starting to wake up to how deep this manipulation goes. They're calling it exactly what it is: ego, deception, and clout addiction. So what's next for BMF? Can Lil Meech rebuild the trust he lost? Can Big Meech take back control of his name and rewrite the story the right way? Only time will tell. But one thing's already echoing louder than ever: 50 Cent's words. Real ones build, fake ones borrow. And right now, the streets know exactly who's who. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest tea. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.